It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Hello, my viewers. I got to give credit where credit is due. Dr. Zarkloff. I used to love watching that. If you guys don't know who that is, he's an OG HVAC YouTube guy. And he was hilarious. Just every one of his things was, hello, my viewers. That's how he would start every one of his videos, and it was great. On another note, so I'm questioning whether or not, I don't think my internet is working again. Let me know. Is it really blurry for you guys? Because like the preview that I'm looking at right now looks pretty crappy. So we may be having some problems with this stream. I'm going to wait for the chat to catch up here real quick and see what the chat has to say about the internet quality. Hold on. I know there's always like a 10, 15 second delay in when I ask a question and what the chat. Okay, so people can see it. All right, cool. I think that I don't know what's going on. My internet's kind of wacky or something like that. So, all right, cool. Sounds great. Sounds great. So, you know, it'd be kind of funny to do like a video or something like that with all the old school YouTubers. That'd be kind of cool if someone can orchestrate that, you know? Mike Pettinato or Jim Pettinato and Mike Pettinato. That's Mike Pettit is a manager of a local supply, or used to be a manager of a local supply house near me. But anyways, Jim Pettinato and Dr. Zarkloff and all those different people. That'd be pretty funny if we could get those people onto an internet thing. That'd be pretty cool. Right on. Sweet. Yeah, everybody in the chat saying the audio and video is good. Just must be on my end. So I am all over the place with all the different ideas and different things that I have going on. You know, I have so many different things in the fire burning and all this stuff, and people reaching out to me saying, hey, do you want to work with me on this and that and this? I genuinely need more time. And then in the midst of everything, because I'm ADD much or whatever you want to call it, just plain crazy in my head, I decided that I'm going to move my office. I'm not going to use this room anymore. I'm going to use a garage room that I have because it's much bigger, and I'm going to totally convert that into a studio that's like soundproof and everything. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. What kind of got me thinking about that was last week I was lucky enough that Ty Brannaman was coming into town, and he messaged me. And so, or last week, maybe the week before, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, one of the first Monday that I missed the live stream, Ty was in town. So him and I went out to dinner with his wife and my wife. It was really nice to get to hang out with him. And Ty's a really, really cool dude. If you guys don't know who Ty Brannaman is, come out from the rock where you're living under and find his YouTube channel. It is great. He just has such an animated way of teaching and things. So anyways, but that got me thinking that I really would like to be able to do this with people more often. You know, if Ty comes into town, like I'd like to be able to do a podcast with a couple different people and him, or a video, whatever you want to call it, vlog. I don't know what you call it. But I wanted to do that. So that kind of, I can fit one more person in here. Brett knows, but it's kind of tight, you know, like I wish that it was a little bit bigger, because this little room right here, I think it's a 10 by 11 room. It's just really made for, you know, one person. It's not really made to have multiple people. So I'm trying to do that. And then in the midst of that, I've got normal work stuff going on. And, you know, and another thing too, I posted, and I'm going to address it a little bit too. I don't want to like blow everybody up with the mental health stuff, but at the same time, I feel like we need to get rid of the stigma. Thank you everybody for all the kind words that everybody said on the posts that I put out there on social media about my mom and my grandfather. If you guys didn't see the post, follow my social media. I'm on pretty much all the platforms at HVACR videos, one word. But I posted that like this last week, I was just having a hard time. Actually, it was, last week. I was having a hard time, and I didn't know why. I was just like in a bad mood or whatever. And then I realized, because previous to that week, I had gotten word that my grandfather had passed away, which I kind of felt like I was okay with, you know? And then my mom had passed away a few months ago. And, but it was my mom's birthday, the day that I wasn't feeling good. I knew it was her birthday, but it just didn't click, you know? So by the end of the day, I was just kind of like feeling down or whatever. And then I realized, I was like, oh crap, you know, it was my mom's birthday. And then that just got me thinking about my grandfather and all that stuff. But I mean, that's normal. That's grieving, right? But I wanted to, you know, the reason why I posted was not so much to get attention or anything like that. It was just to raise awareness that it's okay to have bad days. You know, when your head's not in the game, when you're not feeling good, when you're depressed, when you're whatever, like talk to someone, you know, don't hide that stuff, because from experience, I've gone through this. I've seen a doctor, and for me, I don't know if it is the same for everybody else, but the way that it works for me is I was diagnosed bipolar. I was all these weird, I don't know, acronyms and different things, and I don't even understand half of this stuff, but it's something that I have to live with for the rest of my life. Like I saw a doctor, I took medication, I did an 18-month stint where my wife said I slept the whole time because I was on Lexapro, I think, or something. And, but I mean, it helped me, you know, and it helped me, you know, and seeing a therapist and all that stuff. But regardless, what I got from all of that was that they didn't cure me. They didn't make, you know, the craziness in my head go away. They didn't make the voices go away, you know, any of that stuff. Right. But they just taught me how to deal with it and how to cope with it and how not to be an angry person that punches holes in the walls, because that's what initially made me go to the doctor in the first place. Was I got really angry and I used to bottle stuff up and not talk about it, and I punched a wall and it felt so flipping good. But then when I realized my hand went right through the drywall and was like, you know, 3/4 of an inch from the stud, it's like, wow, you know, if I'd have hit the stud, I'd have busted my hand. Anyways, all this stuff rushed through my head, and it made me realize like that felt too good and I enjoyed it too much. And so I decided to go see a doctor and la-di-da, all that stuff. But I just want to bring to light that it's okay, right? I mean, we have this stigma that that we feel, at least the way that I did, and the way that my family, some of my family members around me have kind of felt too, that like that's not stuff you talk about. And it's kind of a bummer, because it really should be stuff you talk about. You know, talk to family, talk to friends. So, you know, I wasn't feeling too great last week. So I messaged my friends, and I talked to my wife, and, you know, they kind of helped me through it. And it wasn't anything bad, but it's okay. You still go through times like that. And I'm grieving in a way too, you know? So, let's see what else we got in here. Yeah, I, you know, again, thank you so much for the nice words. I'm reading through the chat right now. But, you know, it's not so much that I want to bring, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but like, it's not so much that I'm like an advocate for, you know, everybody needs to take their mental health days and all that stuff. But I mean, there's, you know, I mean, sometimes you do need to take some time off, and you need to work on yourself for sure. Okay. We can't be the technicians that we're meant to be if we're bogged down with other stuff too. And the mind is no joke. It messes with your head and it'll take control of you. So, you know, you need to talk to people. So, I, of course, want to answer questions that you guys have in the chat. I'm going to talk about emails and different things that I got, YouTube comments. I got a few of them. I'm trying to cut these a little bit shorter so they're not as long. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. One thing that I wanted to talk about was, obviously I took some time off. I haven't done a couple live streams, haven't done a couple videos just because I was busy. It's been kind of nuts so lately, like up and down and up and down. But, you know, there's a lot of talk in the industry about a lot of changes coming out. If you guys haven't and didn't already, if you guys search, shoot, I don't know how to do this, but there's a new YouTube show that popped up yesterday called the HVAC Grapevine. It's a couple of the HVAC what do you want to call it? Airflow guys, not airflow, but come on, I can't think straight. But anyways, it's three HVAC guys that are doing a show. You guys should definitely check it out. The HVAC Grapevine is what it's called, or something like that. So, but anyways, you know, they were kind of talking about this, and something that they brought up was they were talking about the SEER 2 compliant units that are coming out pretty shortly here, right? You know, we had SEER ratings. Well, they're upping that across the country. They're going to start making you know, this equipment be more and more efficient, right? And so one of the things about SEER 2 is it's even more efficient than the previous. I don't know why they just couldn't call it SEER, but they have to call it SEER 2 because it makes it seem more special or something. But you know, another thing that's happening is they're going to a lot of the A2L refrigerants. There's nothing to really be scared about when it comes to the A2L refrigerants. You know, any of them. I mean, even the A3s, the hydrocarbon refrigerants, the flammable ones. It's not so much that you need to be scared. It's just that you need to follow certain procedures. Ironically, majority of the procedures with hydrocarbons, R290, R600A, basically the requirements are the same requirements that we were supposed to be doing from the beginning. If you go read any manuals from the early 1900s, you know, when they were first, you know, coming up with the concepts for heating and air conditioning and perfecting everything, their stuff that they told you to do back then, we kind of forgot about and we kind of skipped it, right? And even Jim Bergman talks about it. You know, if you read some of the old books, like this one right here, Review of Vacuum, that Jim Bergman and Brian Orr had revised, but this book was originally published in, let's see, what is the published date of this book? I don't know if there's an original published date. Yeah, that's interesting. There's not a published date in this book from the original one. But this book was written a long, long time ago. Oh, there it is right there. 1959 was when this book was first published, okay? Yet you can talk to people and you can hear them say, you know, oh, that silly vacuum nonsense, you know, that stuff's all new. And even Brett Wetzel and Kevin Compass on Advanced Refrigeration Podcast were just talking about this on their recent podcast. Yes, I do listen, Brett, occasionally. I don't listen to everyone, but I do listen. So anyways, they did a podcast on evacuation and they were kind of talking about it too. But the thing to understand is, you know, using micron gauges and having big hoses, that's nothing new. That was from the beginning. We just forgot it. Why did we forget it? Well, because we realized that the refrigerants they were using back then were very forgiving. They could handle, you know, the systems could handle a few non-condensables. It wasn't that big of a deal because they were massively oversized. They were like 6 SEER units. They were massively oversized condensers, you know, so there was a margin of error there. You could get away with some of that stuff, right? And, you know, with the chlorinated refrigerants and mineral oil and all that stuff, you know, it was very forgiving too. So even though the concepts and the best practices were still there, they just kind of got relaxed and forgotten about. So now we're diving deeper into them. And you have these people saying, oh, that new vacuum stuff, there's nothing new about it, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, these new high efficiency units and these new codes and all these different things are just another opportunity for us to make money. And it's not really that hard. I mean, realistically, it's our job. Our job is to fix this equipment, right? So they're going to change something, you know, but remember, when you first started out, you had to struggle to learn, but then you kind of got in a comfortable zone and you're just kind of relaxing and in cruise control. You know, I mean, we just got to slow down a little bit, go down, learn a few new things, and come back up. Then we'll get on cruise control for a while again. And then, you know, we need to not be afraid of change, because change is inevitable and it's a great way to make money, right? And we have all the opportunities, us as technicians right now, okay? Let me see. Looking through the chat. What HVAC school do I recommend going to? Price is not an issue. Joshua, it's not so much about money. I'm going to get back to my rant here in a minute too, but I'm going to answer some questions. Joshua, it's not about money, man. Any school is going to be what you make it, okay? So, personally, my preference is I went to a community college near me, Mount San Antonio Community College. It's an amazing school. They have a great refrigeration and air conditioning program. And, it was low cost because it was a community college. Okay. There's good and bad community colleges. There's good and bad private schools. But they're all about what you make it. You need to understand that nobody is going to make you learn. You have to learn yourself. People are going to give you tools that can help you to learn better. And it's your responsibility to use those tools and figure things out on your own. So do I have a favorite school? Not necessarily. I don't. I mean, I'm sure people in the chat can say the schools that they want to go to. It really depends where you want to go in the industry too. Do you want to get a bachelor's degree in HVAC? Well, I think there's only still one school that does that, I believe, and it's Ferris State University in Michigan. You know, I mean, so it really depends on where you want to go. You know, so I mean, it is what you make it. Hopefully, I mean, I know I kind of just answered your question. Is that okay? So I heard Adam and some of my friends talking about the Sandler effect. Is that answering the question with the Sandler effect? I have no idea. I just heard it's like about changing the topic and whatever. All right, let me see what else we got going on in the chat. You almost forgot what it's like to work on new equipment. You mostly work on older stuff. Jason, yeah, that's interesting. You know, every day we've got new technology coming out, new fancy stuff. You know, someone made a comment recently that I was going kind of silly and I was using a computer on a job. I wasn't using a computer. If you see what looks like a computer on the job, if it's a newer video, that's my tablet. It just has a keyboard. But I mean, we have all these new tools. Why not use them? I appreciate analog gauges and the OG tools. Like, I appreciate them, but you know, the new stuff does so much, but along with the cool stuff it does, there's also some nuances that you have to work through and things that you got to figure out. I was recently working with a piece of software that has digital things, and I'm noticing some issues when you sync it up to the app, one of these tools. And it's like, okay, so that could be a problem. So I bring it up to the manufacturer. You know, I reach out to them. That's one cool thing that this whole platform has given me, was it's given me an inside track. I have a few friends, and all I have to do is message those 2 or 3 friends and say, hey, do you have a good contact at this company? And boom, they give me the right to the top where I can start, you know, making changes and stuff. So it's cool to have this platform to be able to do that. It's very humbling. So thank you all very much. Let's see. Alaska, thanks so much for that super chat, man. I appreciate that. That is amazing, bud. All right. Is that motor out of the captive air exhaust fan? Cyborg, yes, it is. So that is a video that I have not made yet. It's kind of difficult footage to edit, but yeah, that is a bad motor. And I was doing some testing on it. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little video if I ever get down to editing it. You know, what's interesting is most of the videos that you see, most of them are the really easy videos to edit. I have some really interesting ones, but boy, man, are they complicated to edit. It's really difficult. So I've just been sitting on them. And every once in a while, when I get bored, I'll sit down and start editing one of those complicated ones. But I just got this whole hard drive full of them. Let me see. What else we got? Should products like RX11 be used, or just liquid and suction line filter dryers for burnouts? Nikolai, I believe that is your name. Forgive me if it's not. I don't know if I butchered that. Okay, so here's my take on this, all right? I'm not a genius. I'm not the best tech. I'm not a chemist or anything. But my take is, I don't understand the science behind some of these products or these additives or these chemicals. I mean, you can read what's on the package, and it says what it does, but how do you quantify that? How do you prove that it actually does that stuff? Okay. RX11 flush. I've used it for a good majority of my career. I used it because the supply house told me When you have a burnout, put an acid neutralizer, use the RX11 flush, and call it a day. Interestingly enough, do you know why it's called RX11? Because we used to use R11 refrigerant because it had great solvent capabilities. And we used to flush a system out with, well, not me, but I mean the industry used to flush systems out with R11. So if you had a nasty burnout, you had some R11, you'd purge it through the system, chase it with nitrogen, and push it out. RX11 is just an interesting play on an acronym, and it is there to mimic the properties of R11. But interestingly enough, did you know, I'm going off on a tangent right now too, with R11, for a majority of my career, I used it and I realized that I was using it wrong and I wasn't really being effective at all. When you do use RX11, right, whether you choose to or not, when you do use it, let's say you're doing a line set, okay? What you got to do is you got to go to the opposite end of that line set. You need to pinch it down and create an orifice, a restriction. So that way, when you put the RX11 in there, then you blast it with nitrogen, it builds up and the back pressure scrubs the walls of the line set. And it's a solvent, so it cleans them off, and then theoretically it vaporizes or boils off and then makes it out of the system. But the question and my concern about RX11 is what is left behind. Do we know that nothing's left behind? Is there still solvent in those walls? That's what concerns me about using it. So personally, I choose not to use RX11 anymore. I personally will just do nitrogen and dryers. And then, like, I just did it the other day. Did I make a video about it yet? No, I haven't made a video about this too, but I had a filter dryer that plugged up. So when I installed it, I kind of had a feeling that there was contaminants in the system. So when I replaced the filter dryer, I put in ball valves. So I went back a week later, turned the system off, ball valved it off, got rid of the refrigerant, and then changed the dryer again without having to recover the entire charge. So on burnouts, if given an opportunity, it's a great idea to go ahead and do that. Put oversized dryers in there. Maybe even put a flare dryer in, depending on the situation, and then go back and change the dryer, and you don't have to pull all the refrigerant out again. Like, it's a real cool way. So I personally don't like using RX11 flush. Nothing against them. I've never seen anything bad happen. I said that I used it for majority of my career because I blindly trusted what people told me to do, and I didn't do my own research. So once I did my own research, I just kind of decided, you know, the manufacturer doesn't want me to put that in there for a reason. That's another thing too, with most of these additives. I was listening to someone from Copeland recently talking. I don't know if it was Don Gillis or someone else. I think it might have been Don Gillis. Don Gillis is another great person to follow on social media if you don't already too. But he was talking about how much money Copeland and Emerson makes a company pay to have their products tested, so that way Copeland or Emerson will potentially give them an approval, right? So a lot of companies aren't that confident in their product if they're not willing to put up the money that Copeland requires to have that product tested out properly, so that way they can give a yes or a no to it. And that's an interesting concept, and I appreciate and praise Emerson Copeland for doing that, because basically it's mainly not all approved, right? And if it is approved, what's interesting, there's a product out there that says approved for, and it says a specific application within that what a Copeland compressor works for. It's not the entire gamut of Copeland compressors. That's another thing too. Just because it says manufacturer approved on there does not, I mean, what manufacturer? All of them? Like, that's a play on words. That's marketing, right? A manufacturer may have said, yeah, this can be used in this exact situation. And then someone just, their lawyers got involved and made it look like, you know, Copeland approved it for everything. So I try to stick to what the manufacturers typically want you to do, because I kind of feel like they're the best person to trust on that, my personal opinion. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Let's see. Ryan Murray says you worked on a Labonco exhaust fan today. Had a weird motor mount plate where it gets held up by the belt and the fan pulley. You had to change to a bigger belt so it would sit on a flat plate. Ryan, I am very intrigued by that. Do you have any pictures of that? If you do, I would love to see them. If you could send me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. You know what, Ryan? I'll give you my special email address. Don't tell anybody else. It's cstevens, wait, no, it's not. Never mind. It's Chris at hvacrvideos.com. That's my secret email address that nobody knows about, so don't tell them, okay? Let's see what else we got going on here. Am I seeing straight condensing units having accumulators to help with lower temp climates? Kenneth, yes, I am, but honestly, it's not about lower ambient climates. A suction line accumulator is a great resource no matter what, and I would highly recommend it on almost any install, okay? Because, you know, depending on varying loads, that's when the real problem is. If you have a varying load, you know, you can have times where, you know, that system's really going to be trying hard to cool the space down, and you know, you might be flooding a lot of refrigerant back depending on if you have a failing expansion valve or different things like that. So I think an accumulator should be a necessity, almost like something that we always install. Unfortunately, I don't sell them that much, right? Because what I find is on the aftermarket side, there's not a great stock of them in the supply houses. They don't typically have it like boom, you know? So the more supply houses start to stock them, I think it's a better thing we can put on our systems. But on the same side, when we have higher efficient systems with EXVs and stuff, you know, the chance of having flood back issues is smaller and smaller. So, but I think an accumulator is a great idea. But let me say, you know, a large portion of the industry hates suction line accumulators. Oh, just cut those things out. I've been told many times by manufacturers, yeah, just take that accumulator out. Guarantee you're going to take that out and it's going to be full of oil, you know? And it's like, that was one thing too. If you ever open up an accumulator, especially if you have a bad compressor, and you take the compressor out and you pour the oil out and you find out that it's low on oil, there's a good chance that it's going to be in the accumulator. But why do we blame, oh, that dumb accumulator? It's the accumulator's fault. It's really not. Okay, the science behind an accumulator is down at the bottom of that accumulator, there is a tiny port, a tiny hole. It's a pickup port, right? And it's for when oil makes its way back through the system, because they're trying to keep liquid from flooding back to the compressor. Therefore, the design of an accumulator, I don't have one right here, but the design is basically the reverse of a receiver. And we need oil travels with the refrigerant. So there will be oil that starts to build up in that accumulator, and it has a little tiny hole at the bottom of the suction, at the bottom of the tube, where it's a pickup tube and it pulls the oil back in. So if we don't follow proper practices, taking us all the way back to the beginning of this stream, when I was talking about some of the things we're supposed to follow, it's nothing new. It's been since, you know, the infancy of HVAC, but we kind of forgot about them, is brazing with nitrogen. That is a huge thing. Now, I'm not a perfect tech that's going to say I do it all the time. I try as much as I can, but brazing with nitrogen keeps those little, I think they're copper oxides or something, I don't know, whatever the technical term, but it's the black flakes in the lines. Those will plug up that pickup screen on the bottom of the accumulator, and that becomes a problem. Okay, so accumulators are good, and it's not so much that it's because we're not following proper practices and we're being dum-dums that we point the finger at the accumulators, because majority of the time there's nothing floating around in that system. If you do a system evacuation, you've got clean oil, you know, you shouldn't have anything in there, but it's from us brazing and installing the systems that messes those accumulators up a lot. Let's see. Do I know the main causes of ECM motor failures? Stephen Teton, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not an expert in ECMs, but I'm going to tell you it's the cause of most motor failures on blower motors and different things like that is going to be static. I know they say that ECMs are better at, you know, controlling everything, and they last longer, but man, they don't like being put in crappy conditions. And so I would say ECM motor failures mainly happen because of that. I would say the next thing is heat. Used in condenser fan motors and things like that, when customers don't maintain equipment where the fan motor is cooled by the air passing over. If you think you have a dirty condenser, it's going to drive condensing temps up. It's going to make that area behind the condenser, and the air finally making through the condenser is going to push that up into the motor and not help the motor to dissipate heat as it's running. So I would imagine, I'm going out on a limb saying that heat might be one of the causes to kill the condenser fan motor ECMs too. That would just be my theory. Now, on the commercial side, I don't deal with ECMs as much, but I do deal with VFDs a lot, variable frequency drives. And those, we have a mass amount of problems with our power conditions here because we don't have the greatest power conditions. I was literally just talking to a buddy today on the phone, and we were having a comment about he's doing VRF work. It's my buddy Rudy. What's up, Rudy? But he does a lot of VRF work, or he's getting into that, and he was just talking about board failures all the time. And then I brought up to his attention that, you know, we've been having VFD issues, and we're, you know, and I've even talked to the manufacturers of the VFDs, again, going back to being able to have a direct connection with a lot of these manufacturers. And basically the VFD manufacturer is like, dude, we knew this was going to happen, but this is what the manufacturer that bought it from us wanted. Right. So, you know, they wanted to cut corners. They didn't want power conditioning, you know, and so they have a high failure rate of VFDs, partially because of electrical issues. And then also because they're installed in the mixed air cabinets on some of these ACs, or the outside air cabinets where the condensers are at, or the compressors are at, and they get hot, too hot, they get moisture, different things. So, you know, what's the main cause? I would say power and poor install would be the main cause. Carrier RTUs with VFDs, definitely going to get a service call for it. Yeah, Jason Johnson. I mean, you know, I actually, what's interesting is I struggled on the first couple VFDs that I bypassed. And then, and this kind of makes me laugh. So I struggled a bit with the VFDs that I bypassed in the very beginning on the carrier units, okay? I'd install contactors. I'd try to power the contactor to blow the, you know, to run the indoor blower motor. I try to power the contactor from the thermostat board and different things like that. But then I figured out that carrier literally leaves the wires. You have a G and a common for 24 volts sitting right next to where the circuit board goes for that unit. Like, it's where a contactor should go. So it's kind of funny that they still use the same wiring harness and still run power over there, but there's no contactor. So when you go to bypass a VFD now, it's like, plug, good, done, you know? So, and then it has, you know, it'll last as long as that contactor will last. And then when the contactor fails, the contactor only costs, you know, 60, 70, 80 bucks, whatever it is. So, let's see. It's cool to see everybody in here. It's awesome. So many cool people. You guys, thank you so very much for, you know, all the support. It's amazing. A couple more things I want to talk about on my list. So someone asked me a great question, and they wanted to know why. I'm going to paraphrase this question and combine it and make it a bigger topic. So he had left a comment in one of my videos about a refrigeration rack and not understanding why customers would use them. So when I talk about a refrigeration rack, is a little bit different than my buddy Brett Wetzel's refrigeration racks, or Kevin Compass's, or any of you supermarket guys. Okay. Because I'm using a refrigeration rack, which is really just a multiplex system, right? It just has a bunch of refrigeration circuits on one compressor, or you can have multiple compressors. Okay. But we're not sharing common suction lines or anything like that. If you get into like a supermarket rack, there's reasons why they do those, and those are very efficient. Okay. But on my types of systems where it's just a multiplex system, it's a single compressor, typically doesn't have any variable capacity, no unloading or anything like that. The more circuits you put on that compressor, the more potential that you're going to have issues. Okay. So let's say you have 6 circuits on a single circuit in a refrigeration rack on one of my roofs. Okay. Let's say you have 6 evaporators on it. Well, what are the odds that 4 of those evaporators, or maybe even 5 of those evaporators, are going to satisfy, and you've only got 1 calling? Well, the problem is that compressor was designed and sized for all of those loads to run at the same time. So if each evaporator is 1,000 BTUs, that's 6,000 BTUs of compressor capacity that's needed to operate those evaporators, right? So what happens if you have that 6,000 BTU compressor and 5 of those evaporators satisfy and you only need 1? Now you have a massively oversized compressor, right? Oversized in the concept that it's too powerful and it doesn't know how to slow down. So then it becomes oversized, right? Those are called compressor killer systems, in my opinion. Okay. That's what I call them. And why would a customer choose those? Because they're cheap up front. They're the install price, the build price of the restaurant is, you know, low when you're using a refrigeration rack. Instead of running a electrical circuit for 6 different condensing units, and having the roofer do this and the structure built to have different condensing units, all that different stuff. In the long run, separate circuits, separate systems would be a good idea, because if one system fails, you can change that one system. If you have a refrigeration rack that has a common condenser and all the circuits are going into it, and you have a leak on that condenser, you now have to change the entire condenser if it's not repairable, and you have to shut down all the other systems to do it. So they're not that efficient and cost effective in the long run. But in the install price, heck yeah, put in a refrigeration rack. It's a great idea because the lower cost, it's one unit. So so there's really not many advantages to having a rack system, in my opinion. I mean, other than the price. As far as longevity and serviceability, you're better off with separate condensing units. And then in the long run, when one of those fails, it's a heck of a lot cheaper. So let me see what else. Now, once you start adding, that's like a single component system, no variable capacity. Once you start adding variable capacity, VFDs and different things like that, of course, you can kind of tweak it and make it a little bit more efficient. So do I think inverter technology will make its way into refrigeration systems soon? Yeah, it's already there, Laska. It's not as known, but it's totally there. And I mean, the variable capacity is there. So I guess it's not a typical inverter system, but I mean, it's the same concepts. An inverter system, in my opinion, is just it's just a way to speed up and slow down the compressor with logic built into it. So that way, it can control other things besides just pressures. So in a way, a refrigeration rack in the supermarket is probably the same thing, if not better, with all the different capacities and a single unit processor that runs it. It's kind of the same concept. Now, light commercial, I think it's going to become more prevalent. It's in the residential market for sure. It just hasn't quite jumped into the commercial side, but it's all there. That's the CR2 stuff too. I mean, because they're not necessarily told you have to do this particular thing to increase efficiency, but they just basically give them a number and say you need to reach that. So everybody's kind of coming to the same consensus, but I think it's here. It's just, going to take a little time to become more and more popular. So, I do want to ask you guys a question. I'm curious about emails from you guys. That would be great if you could. Emails are the best because these comments are going to disappear and I don't, go back and review them. But I'm always interested in new things that I should do, new concepts, new tools. I invite your criticism. I invite your advice. Please email me. Okay. I'm not a little kid anymore. I can take criticism. I'm okay. I learn from it. So if you have value and you're not a jerk, I invite it. So please send me an email. Give me ideas. If you think I can do something a little bit better, if you'd like to see me talk more about some certain topic, shoot me an email. Let me know. Okay. One thing that I'm curious about is, torque wrenches. Do you guys use torque wrenches? I've never used them in my career, period. Never. But, I understand the need, and the older I get, the more I think like, that could solve a lot of problems. So I'm really thinking about diving into the torque wrench side, but my initial research doesn't show anything spectacular. It all seems like it sucks. I was kind of excited when I saw that Milwaukee had a digital one, but my gosh, that Milwaukee one's like this long. It's huge. So I'm really interested in some new tool ideas too. If you guys have torque screwdrivers, I'd love one of those. If you have torque wrenches that you really like, let me know what type so I can research it. I really, and I, going back to the beginning of the stream again, I'm all over the place, always have these different ideas. And I really, really want to push on that tools channel that I have too. If you guys don't know, I have a tools channel with my friends, HVACR Tools. We haven't posted on it in over a year, but it's fun doing those videos. It's time consuming, I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm actually getting to this weird point where I kind of could really focus on the videos more than my normal job. Like the videos has given me opportunities, and I see all kinds of different ideas and things that we can do. But it's that I'm at that weird point right now where it's like, oh, my normal job gives me videos to film, so it's like, but I'm really thinking about pushing hard on the video stuff, and I'd love to start posting more on the tools channel. I'd also like to start bringing people into the HVACR videos channel. Like, I think that'd be a great idea too, to bring other people that I'm interested in working with and have them make videos too. And we can start like a network kind of a thing. So I've got all kinds of ideas about that stuff, but my head goes all over the place. So shoot me an email. Let me know if you guys have any ideas. Let me go to the chat real quick and see. Get a Snap-on. You'll need a mortgage, but they're good. Oh, good. That's a good idea, Will. Yeah, I'll look into that, man. I did. I just stepped up and bought a Megger a while back, and that's another thing too. God, I can't shed spoiler alerts, but that motor right now, right there, guys, I hate to say this, but that motor right there, that's why I haven't made this video yet, threw me for a loop, and the Megger is what made me figure it out. Okay, there's an insulation leakage in that motor, but the dang thing is so minute that it would only happen when it rained, and it only rains in California 2 to 3 times a year. So, and it had a horrible insulation leakage that I would not have found if I did not have an insulation tester. So that was an interesting one, and I'm starting to get enlightened and have more fun. I'm starting to be inspired by the industry again. And it does happen. I kind of got into a rut, and I've been slowly climbing out of that with these videos. These videos kind of gave me something new to look forward to. And, sorry. Yeah. I lost my train of thought there for a sec, but, yeah, humidity changes your readings. That's right. That's right, Jason. Exactly. So I totally lost my train of thought there for a minute. So I did want to talk about real quick, in my videos, I'm going to make it clear right now. I think I'm pretty clear with most of my people. So first off, I'm going to say we've had an influx of new people to the channel, and I welcome everybody to the channel. I don't know if you're watching this or not. You watch my other videos, but I welcome all the people to the channel. But what's interesting is because I started doing occasional YouTube shorts, that drove different traffic to my channel, and I'm getting an influx of very dumb people too, just plain dumb. And it's like, these people are all new. Like, it just came because my viewers have kind of been consistent for the last year, my normal viewers, and then all of a sudden I'm getting all these new commenters, and I'm like, this guy's a dummy, you know? But anyways, someone had made a comment, and I'm going to make it clear right now that he likes my videos, but I complain too much in my videos. And I'm trying to think, like, I don't feel like I complain. I don't see that. I don't know, but maybe I do. But it's not complaining, I think, is what I'm realizing. I don't think he regularly watches my videos and knows who I am yet. And I don't think, because, you know, he said basically I'm complaining too much. I'm not complaining if that's what you think. I'm just trying to make people realize that I'm the same as them. I try to put myself on a level where I think other people are similar to me, you know? And it's like, hey, guys, this was a struggle for me, so I'm going to preach about it on here, you know? So basically what I'm saying is this is my channel, and I'm going to talk about what I want. And if you don't like it, see ya. Bye, Felicia, whatever, you know? Good riddance. I'm going to do this the way that I want to do it. If I want to talk about mental health because I'm thinking about it, because my head's messed up, I'm going to do it. And it is what it is. You can move on. Sometimes I get this idea that I'm only a technical channel, but it's not. That's not the truth, because I'm trying to give an insight into me, right? And, you know, there's a whole series that I haven't done in about 2.5 years where I had interviews with my wife. And so I like to talk about how I am me and what makes me me, and, you know, what works for me. That's what this channel is about. So you're hearing me troubleshoot like I'm talking to myself. That's what I do every day. If I don't turn the camera on, that's how I troubleshoot. I rationalize with myself. I verbally talk things through. It's no different when I turn on the camera. I'm a nutcase. I know it. I mean, I can't express that enough. I genuinely talk to myself and answer questions, and that's how I troubleshoot. So I know that's different. Maybe someone else is like me. Maybe you know, so that's why I like to talk about this stuff. I like to let people know who I am and why I do the way, you know, why I do things the way that I do them. So, be nice or leave. That's right. My daughters bought this. I'm sorry, did I offend you with my common sense? Is it not awesome that my children, my spawn, saw this in a store when I wasn't with them, and they said, Mom, buy that for Dad. Like, and my kids were young when they bought this for me too. You know, I'm going to do things my way. And if you don't like it, see ya. It's all good. Did I see, let's see, R134 a hole. Did you see, I don't get your screen name intrigues me, right? R134 a hole. Like I don't get it. Anyways, did I see that the president said the future for energy is solar panels and heat pumps to power our future? I think that is a goal, and I think it's a novel goal. Do I see massive problems with that? Yes, I do. I live in one of the worst states. Well, in my opinion, one of the worst states, but I don't know, maybe there's others that are worse, where our power grid sucks. We have too many people. We don't have enough energy. We shut down our nuclear power plants, good or bad, whatever you believe, we shut them down. We took a large portion of the grid away when we did that. Our state struggles with power issues. And when it's summertime, we have rolling blackouts because, I mean, we're one of the most populated states, I think, if not the most populated states in the United States, but yet we have the worst power grid, in my opinion. So do I see problems with going electric for everything? I do. But do I believe in the future of that? Do I believe in the efficiency? Yes. Take away those power issues. Yes. Electricity is the way. We're not, well, again, assuming that we have renewables coming in, right? We need to have renewables that are coming from the sun, whatever kind of power generation. I really think we should go the nuclear route. I feel like, you know, the problems we were having with the old technology is because it was old technology and it was either not upgradable or didn't get upgraded in time. I feel like with today's technology, nuclear could be a very smart option. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. Man, did I start getting all preachy on this thing, didn't I? I'm a preacher today. Would I be interested in taking supermarket work? I would love to go on supermarket calls and learn. That would be amazing, but I can't take my company there. So no, I'm not going to take on supermarket work, but I would love to be a part of it just to witness it and see it. One of these days I'll hit one of my friends up or something and try to go walk some jobs or do something. I would love to be able to take this channel to that level too. I'd love to be able to go out there and film stuff, kind of be like, you know, Mike Rowe is to Dirty Jobs, kind of like that whole thing with the HVAC. Like, I'd like to start showing the things in the industry to more people. That'd be something fun. And again, going back to the idea that this channel is kind of getting to that point where I need to start making some decisions because I need to be able to focus more of my time and less of my time on my other business so that way I can make this one grow even more. All right, let's see what else. Let me see. You can speak a length about nuclear. Oh yeah, nuclear power is the sun. Yep. Let's see what else we got. Would I be interested? Oh yeah, I already answered that question. Did I ever send that Milwaukee swag? Yes, you did, Anthony. I did send that. My wife dropped it at the box today. I processed it. You should have got a confirmation email with a shipping tracking data. And it would have came from U.S. Postal Service. We just dropped it off, so it'll be there in probably 2 days. Because I remember you were in Florida, I think. So yes, you will get it. Am I still accepting applications? Yeah. So I mentioned that I was hiring and stuff. I haven't hired anybody yet. I've just been so busy. I haven't had the chance to go through them. So if you have a resume you want to send me, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. And send me your resume and I'll add it to the list. I haven't chosen anybody, haven't picked anybody yet, haven't even done any interviews yet. So let's see what else we got going on in here. Will Speed, Alaska, you guys are funny. You guys are funny. So, all right, let me get to my checklist right here, see if there's anything else that I need to cross off the list. Oh, so I talked about it on the overtime show, and I just realized this. If you guys don't already follow the HVAC overtime show, okay, go to the HVAC overtime YouTube channel. Joe, I don't know if you want to post a link to that. Go subscribe to the channel. You guys got to watch the show, okay? So I had made a comment that for the first time I ordered refrigerant off the internet. And everybody, I've been so reluctant to do this. And I needed some R290 refrigerant. There's this internet reseller that a bunch of people have said is great. I've had multiple people in my state and from other places message me, email me, whatever, and say they purchased refrigerant from this company. It's a lot cheaper and it's perfect. Okay. I'm not going to name the company yet, but it's probably not too hard to figure out who they are. Okay. They're very concerned about the environment and they want to, you know, anyways. So they sold me R290 refrigerant and I got it and I brought it in just to kind of show the guys on the show, you know, and it was the first time I put the little cap on it and I opened it and it smells like barbecue propane. Like it's barbecue propane, like legit. R290 that we use for refrigerant doesn't smell like anything. It's unodorized. And they sold me barbecue propane. By the time I paid for a 15-pound drum, right? I think I bought a 15-pound. And at checkout, it was like $230 with shipping and all that stuff. So about $230 for 15 pounds of barbecue propane. Yeah. I'm a dum-dum. So that was pretty funny, and I realized it on the show. So you definitely got to watch the overtime show. So definitely. Let's see. When you're cleaning a unit from the inside, how important is it to not get the compressor wet? DYL444. I don't know what your affiliation with the industry is. There's nothing wrong. I don't know if you're a homeowner, if you're a consumer, if you're a technician. I don't know. Okay. And either way, it's all good. But what I will say is, we're not too concerned about getting the compressor wet at all. Okay. I can just kind of tell from your question. It just seems like you might be a little bit newer and there's nothing wrong with that. I totally invite all of that, but, so don't take it as I'm trying to be rude or anything like that. But yeah, it's not a big deal to get the compressor wet at all. If you do it right, obviously you don't want to soak the terminals and different things like that. But if you're cleaning it off, yeah, no big deal. You know, it gets a little brushed off. You dry it off, let it dry, drip dry, you know, they're typically made to handle water because they're sitting under the condenser where they're going to get rained on. So they're meant to handle a little bit. So in a normal service technician cleaning it, it's not a big deal if it gets a little wet. So, see what else. File a ticket with eBay, get my money back. Yeah, I think I don't know if it was with eBay, but I guess I could. I honestly might just, I don't want to get sued, but I might just have fun with it and make some videos, you know. That'd be kind of funny to make some videos, but I mean, I don't want to get into a lawsuit battle with anybody, but it does sound kind of fun, doesn't it? All right, let's see what else. How did I get that much gray in my beard in such a short time? Oh man, I've got gray coming out. It's all in my hair too. It's like I've got long gray hairs coming out now too. God damn, my hair's getting long. Yeah, that's crazy. So I don't even realize it half the time how long it's getting. But yeah, there's gray all in it. Let's see. What else we got going on? I already answered that. Damn, I didn't even realize that was you, Gil. I genuinely didn't. I read the comment and I didn't see your name, and I went back and looked at it right now, and I'm like, oh, that's Gil. What's up, dude? Gil's my bud. We hung out in Vegas, had a good time. Yeah. I laughed my ass off, Gil, when I heard you telling that story on the podcast. So when you had your buddy on there and you were telling him the story, or you were telling someone else, I don't know, but I laughed my ass off because I was like, all right, Gil talked about it, I could talk about it. So that was pretty funny. So yeah, Gil's a cool dude. So if you guys don't follow Gil over at HVAC Uncensored, go check it out, man. I'd consider Gil to be one of the OG guys. I mean, Gil's got more time than me, and you know, because you've been in it for a lot longer than I was, so I think Gil might be my senior now. So all right, let me see what else we got going on in there. Answered that one. Nick had asked me, he had sent me a message asking me if I had any thoughts. He's I believe a bakery owner, and he has had a compressor replaced on, I believe it was a refrigeration system, multiple times, and he was kind of concerned as to why it was failing so often. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say, Nick, that you responded to me, and I'm gonna say that there's actually a major error in your response. And it kind of concerns me, and it might lead to even more problems. So anyways, back to why your compressors might fail every couple years. Well, compressors don't go bad. All right. They get murdered. It's safe to say that more than compressors just go bad, they get murdered. Okay. So the odds there are murdered and not murdered. Okay. Very, very small. Compressors go bad for a reason. So your service company should be able to come in there and tell you exactly why that went bad. And for a compressor to fail every 4 years for multiple years cycles, that's not normal. Something's wrong. Now, whether or not you've been given a quote to fix it and it's too much or what, there's problems there. Okay. You need to get that fixed. You need to get a competent company if your company can't figure out what's going on. Compressors get murdered, bottom line. Could be airflow. There's so many things. It's hard to say, but someone who's competent needs to come in there if your guys don't already have the abilities. And nothing against them. I mean, sometimes it just takes some technical minds to find out some of these tricky problems. Okay. Next thing is in your response, you had mentioned that, you had them upsize your equipment on the roof and are having new equipment installed that's bigger. Okay, that is a red flag too. All right. The wording that you're using kind of, and I'm not trying to be rude. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm just giving advice. The wording that you used in your email response to me was that, they upsized it, and made it sound like that was a good thing. Okay. And it didn't make it sound like, they did a BTU calculation and they determined our equipment was undersized. So they sized it up. When you tell me they upsized it, that just makes me think that someone didn't do the calculations. So you need a proper heat load calculation on your refrigeration equipment. That's the start of where your problems need to be begun. Okay. Refrigeration heat load. That way we know what we need and we don't oversize equipment. You put the right size up there. If there's, for instance, I've been guilty of oversizing equipment too in my career, but I realized it's not so much that, the equipment wasn't designed right. It's that we're buying equipment designed for a certain situation and we're using it outside of that envelope. So the receiver might not be big enough, so then we have to add a bigger receiver. We don't upsize the BTU capacity of the unit to get a bigger receiver. It's things like that you need to make sure that we're doing. So you really need to get a competent company in there. They need to do a proper evaluation. They need to give you the required heat load, and then you design your equipment according to that. And I realize that can be an insane amount of money, so you're going to have to figure out a way to compromise in different ways. But your equipment needs to be gone through properly to answer your question and go a whole different direction. How do I raise kids with HVACR work schedule? VM07. The way that I raise my children with my crazy work schedule is 199% my wife. Okay. I have a wife that understands and is patient with me. And I'm so thankful for that because she's the reason that I can raise the kids the way that I do, because I do not have nearly as much involvement as my children's lives as she does. So I'm doing my best to provide for them so that way my kids have a future, but my wife is the nurturing one. And I would love to be more connected with my kids. And in this last 3 years, I've been getting even more and more connected, and our relationship is even better. But it's difficult to do that with a crazy work schedule. So there's a work-life balance there. And I think the life needs to be more of a priority than the work, for sure. Maybe they upsized it because it's been running a high superheat because it's originally undersized, and maybe that's why it keeps blowing up, because essentially it's overheating. Yes, essentially, if they didn't size the equipment right and then it's overheating and it's causing other issues because it's undersized, yes, that's certainly a bad thing. No, that's awesome. Good point, Brett. Again, check out advancedrefrigerationpodcast.com. You can find all their information on there. There's so many awesome creators in this industry. So it really is cool to be a part of this influx of new blood coming into the training side. I'm honored to be in that little envelope. It's amazing. Let's see. There was another one I wanted to answer. I don't remember where it was. I lost it. Reading through the comments right now. Awesome, Cyborg Sheep. Thank you very much for that super chat. That's amazing you got your first car. Let's see. VM. Let me see what's going on in here. You're only asking because you just had a kid and you're into rack reefer, crazy work. Boy, that's going to be a hard one, man. Whew. I mean, I've never done rack work, but I don't know how anybody's done rack work with an infant. Whew, man, that's a challenge. All right. Hamilton has been encouraging me. He said that I need to join the teaching side. I've been thinking about a Hamilton, but it's unfortunately, I'm sorry. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say this, but most physical educators are not making enough money, period. Okay. Now there's goods and bads to both sides, but education in general, HVAC education, it is downright stupid that for what most schools pay their educators, their students will be making double what they make within 2 years. So it's sad that an educator is going to train a kid that's going to make way more money than him, you know. So we need more educators, but heck no with that kind of money. No, not happening. I'm going to do this side, the virtual. I'm doing the virtual, and I'm liking it much better. So, let's see. John Harrell says going on a live tour doing podcast with local HVAC guys. It sounds actually, I've thought of that exact thing. So one of these days we'll figure something out. Do I recommend charging by superheater subcooling? Do I recommend charging by superheater subcooling? I mean, really, those numbers are irrelevant without a lot of other information. So I'm not going to charge by superheater subcooling without knowing what everything else in the system is, okay? The best scenario is to weigh in the proper charge depending on what you're working on, or there's other methods of doing it. But no, I'm not going to simply charge by looking at superheating and subcooling. There's a lot of factors that are going to go into it. So, Gil, dude, you didn't need to do that, man. Thank you so very much for that super chat, bud. You're amazing. You are the man, bud. We need to hang out some more. Hopefully sometime soon, not in another 2 years. Okay, let's figure this out. Dale Marr, thank you very much, man. You guys are very, very blowing me away. It's very humbling, this amazing support. So, Jesus fish, you make me laugh, man. Let's see. Where did that motor come from in the background? The motor that is blue. Heather Tom. So you missed it. I don't know, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, I had an awesome story about that motor. Unfortunately, I'm not going to tell it again because either you got to work to go back to the beginning of that stream where I told the story, or you're going to have to wait till I come out with the video. So, but it was a cool one. So it's one of those videos going back to the beginning again. That's really hard to edit because it's just so crappy. So, what systems do I recommend for HVAC? Cooper Bronson, the systems that I recommend for HVAC are the ones that your contractors are most confident in working on. Every brand has problems and quirks. What I've realized in the commercial side is, you know, I don't like insert name York. I don't like Train. I don't like whatever, but really the things that I do like, I'm just really comfortable working on. So the more you work on something, I feel like the more you're going to learn its intricacies, and you're going to start to consider it to be okay because it's easy to troubleshoot. So it really depends on what your contractor is comfortable working on. I'm not going to recommend a brand and your contractor that's going to install it doesn't know what it is and doesn't know how to install it right, then you're going to have problems. So let's see what else. Guys, I talked about it in the beginning. Really, if you guys have ideas, things that you like that I talk about, things that you want to talk more with me about, tools, whatever, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let's have a conversation. So let's get a conversation started, right? From my buddy Trevor Matthews. Man, this is the day of plugs over at refrigerationmentor.com. So sneak peek, I haven't announced it on social media yet, but I'm going to be, as much as I can, work permitting, attending his next compressor masterclass. So it'll be, I believe, in like a Zoom session or something like that, and it'll be like a live interactive thing. So I will be attending that, but I will be announcing that sooner on social media, but that's going to be cool. Trevor's the man. All right, let's see what else. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of the chat, guys. So I feel like you guys need to email me, hvacrvideos@gmail.com, because there's a bunch of stuff that I'm not seeing in there. So let's see. There we go, Alaska. Right on, man. I'll try to get in touch with you, dude. All right. Well, I am going to wrap this up. I think that's about all I'm going to talk about tonight. I really appreciate you all. You know, let's see. I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote. Okay. My favorite quote is from a Keanu Reeves movie, actually. And absolutely love this one. That quote is, "Pain heals, chicks dig scars, and glory lasts forever." There you go.